You're listening to the Into the Woods podcast with your hosts, Dermot and Michael. Let's get into it.
Wonderful chase by Hinshaw.
Cox again. I cannot believe it. Dacos nearly runs out of room. He's goal. Jamie Elliott has won the game of footy for this famous club. Slap for Nick Dacos. He's going to be the hero. The little champ is going to pick the winner.
Here's the Degoe moment. He unloads. Bang! You need your stars. And Collingwood stars just went and wrenched the cup back.
Welcome to Into the Woods. I'm your host, Dermot, and for the next hour or so, we'll be talking about all things Collingwood. If you want to join in the conversation, be sure to follow our socials. You can find us on X at Into the Woods Pod and on Instagram at Into the Woods Pod 10. As always, I'm joined by Michael. How are you, Mick?
Good, thank you. Yep, good.
You never asked me how I am.
Oh, well, we spoke about this last year, Dermot.
Did we?
You're lucky.
Sorry, we've done about 30 episodes.
You're lucky I'm even engaging in this like fake pleasantries nonsense. I know who. The reason I know who you are is because when I turned up 10 minutes ago, I ascertained how you were then. Why you want me to now ask you how you are now, having earlier ascertained just that, is a bit of a puzzle. And why you ask me how I am is an equally as big a puzzle. You know how I am.
Actually, I don't. I didn't ask you.
Oh, that's right. You just yelled at me when I turned up.
Well, I'm actually good. Thanks for asking. Another good win on the weekend, and well, yesterday.
Was it a good win?
Well, we'll get into that shortly in hot topics, Mick. But it was a good win, and I'm up and about. The Pies are back, 2-1. I'd be a bit more up and about if we didn't have a fucking bye next week. But anyway,
it could be
don't get me
described
started.
as a bad win. No, it's very rarely bad wins. There's ugly wins, there's good wins. I think that was close to a bad win, but keep on going.
I strongly disagree, and I'm sure we'll debate about that a little bit later. Just for our listeners and the people watching us on YouTube, breaking news in the Into the Woods community.
Not part of a community thing.
We are the community, Mick.
God, I don't want to be part of the community.
We're sick of sitting here for close to 2 hours. So we're cutting back just a little bit. I hope so. We might just end up talking too much shit. And then...
We tend to prattle on a bit, so we're going to reel it back in a bit.
So we've had to make some cuts, and
not permanent cuts.
Not permanent cuts, but everybody's favourite segment, Blast from the Fast, that yours truly created last year. That's taken a bit of a back seat. It's no longer a weekly segment. It will be back on special occasions, but it's just a bit of a drag. Like there's only so many games we could talk about every week, and
I did well last year. It was good.
It was good last year, yeah.
But it's going to run its race.
You can't be bothered doing the homework during the week as well. It just can't.
I think I've heard that somewhere before. I can't be bothered doing my homework.
But also because we've also added Who Am I this year, which we weren't doing last year. It now means we had an extra segment, and the pods were going longer. And if we're being completely honest, we get carried away in hot topics, and that segment alone normally goes for 40 or 50 minutes. So we've cut back. Your segment, I Got Vomit, that's now not weekly.
I'm not going to be as angry as often. I think I got a lot off my chest last year as well in regards to the daily ticketing system and turning right at intersections, that type of thing. But I hope to expand on the touch of the macabre.
No, that's definitely one thing that we're cutting out.
I want an intro jiggle to that.
Well, for our YouTube viewers, you were saying we've finally got an intro for the YouTube video.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, same audio as the Spotify and Apple podcast, but it was put a bit of work into the vision for that.
I think you did well with that. That looks good.
Yes, yeah. But so yeah, a lot happening. So hopefully we can get this down to at least an hour and a half. But
we're kind of aiming for about an hour, 50 minutes anyway. Actually, I was going to put the timer. I can see you've got a timer there. I was going to put a timer on today. So let's keep on going. Let's kick it along.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. All right.
A sense of urgency.
We also don't want to rush it, Mick.
No, we don't want to
just
rush
settle.
it.
Take
No.
a deep breath. We've got
There's always time for a touch of the macabre.
No, we're not
as they
doing that.
say.
All right. Anyway, let's get into all the hot topics.
We've listened to the wisdom of Sir Winston Churchill and the brilliance of genius Albert Einstein. In the 60s, we heard the great JFK. Now, all the great minds are talking footy.
All right. So last night, Mick, So we're recording this on Saturday at 12:20. So look, I'm still up and about. You called it a bad win. I think it was gutsy. I think it was a really, really gutsy win. There were moments, there were bad moments. Like you talk of McStay, Elliott, Cox, De Goey, these kinds of guys missing simple goals dead in front.
Looks like they didn't want to win it. Somebody didn't want to stand up and win the game.
It was that was hard to watch, but I think we played a really good brand of football against a good team. Have a lot of injuries, yes, they don't have the bonds and all that, but the way that Sam Darcy was playing, he was unstoppable. No one in the competition could have stopped him last night. So all they had to do was just get it down there, and the chances were they were going to score. And we'll talk a little bit more about Sam Darcy later, and Darcy Moore and the defence. But that was a tough night, and we were able to restrict that in the second half especially, and get away with a really gutsy win. I'll hear why you don't think it was a good win, but...
Well, I think any other side in the league would have beaten us last night.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I think...
Absolutely
I think they would... Oh, well, maybe... If you take away maybe the bottom couple, but most other sides in the league would have beaten us last night. I think our run-off half-back was curtailed. We didn't get a lot out of Houston and Perryman and Quaynor and Josh Dacos. He got a few possessions. I think he got mid-20 possessions, but I don't think he was impactful.
Really? I think he was really good.
Do you?
Yeah, I have him high up in my votes.
Yeah, I saw he got 450 metres gained or thereabouts in 21, but I just don't think he hurt them last night.
He went at about 85% efficiency.
Yeah, all the stats seem to be stacking up against my argument.
He was
But
good.
just the old eye test, which you like. You like the eye test.
Yeah, and he was doing well in my eye test.
No, he failed my eye test.
I'll give you Houston. Houston was quiet.
Houston, Perryman, and Quayle. But overall, our halfback flankers that we rely on for a lot of our drive, they were curtailed last night to a certain degree. And you talk about the dogs outs. Well, I've got a bit of a list here. You got Bontempelli, Waitman, Jones, Treloar, the gunslinger Ugle-Hagan. You got O'Donnell. So that's a big injury list. The key players.
But when I was bringing up GWS's injury list, when you were saying it wasn't a bad loss, you were saying, nah, that doesn't matter. They're a great team.
Is that supposed to be any person?
Well, they had Hogan out. They had Tom Green out.
I don't think.
They had a few others. It was a few weeks ago now, so it's hard to remember.
They're a better side with more depth than the Bulldogs, who can cover their.
Yeah, but they don't have a Sam Darcy. He was okay. Let's just talk about it now. He was literally unstoppable, and
well, you don't have to again. Okay, we've spoken about the misuse of the word literally. So
come on, let's move on.
But it's not that hard to believe he was unstoppable. You don't have to preface it by saying literally.
This is why our podcasts go for 2 hours.
He was unstoppable. Let's just say
grumpy old man. He was literally unstoppable.
Slaughter in the English language, your generation.
He was literally unstoppable, and you
as opposed to figuratively unstoppable.
Can you please stop? And you were giving me shit last week about having him in my top 50. Well, I think you've got egg on your face now. He's clearly a top 50 player.
Well, again, Pendlebury was very, very good for us.
Pendlebury was outstanding, yes.
Probably won us the game.
Well, Pendlebury was in my top 50.
Yeah, I know, but Darcy was ahead of him, which was the point last week.
But what was my point? So my point was anyone with a player like that up front, you just got to get it inside 50 and the chances are you're going to score. And they still had some good midfielders. They still had Ed Richards. They still had Libba. Joel Frazier played a really good game against North Melbourne a week before. Riley Sanders, Tim English. They had good players there to get it inside 50. And as you saw, especially the first two quarters, they were scoring every time they went forward. They're not an easy team to stop when they've got a guy that's 210 centimeters that can clunk everything coming at him. And Darcy Moore, you and I are prone to getting really upset with Darcy Moore when he has these games. Like he's had a few bad ones against the Hawks and Carlton and so on. And we've been and North Melbourne. We've been really upset with him and saying, you're the reason why this key forward's got away. He wasn't I think Darcy Moore did as good a job as what anyone in the competition could have done when Sam Darcy was in that kind of mood.
I think, well, spoiler alert. I've got more in my votes. I thought he was solid. I thought he did as good a job as could be expected to done, especially when Reef went down early, and isn't that
we'll get into that a little bit later.
But it's relevant to this.
It's awful.
So that changed the plan at a late stage. So I think he's done fairly well. He got a Darcy. What's his name?
Cameron.
Sam Darcy.
He
also got a couple of cheapies, and Moore couldn't do anything about.
Well, that first one was not a free kick.
Oh no!
No way.
No, look, Dermot rang me up. Predictably rang me up.
20 seconds into the game.
I almost answered the phone before it was ringing. I knew it was coming, and going on. It was a free kick.
No,
I thought the umpires were spot on. The rule
we got lucky with the umpires during the night after that, though.
Yeah, the rule is if you don't have what's the term again? Prior opportunity. Thank you very much. You at least
football expert.
No, I just had a mental blank. You at least have to make an attempt. The attempt doesn't have to be successful. But if you've got a free arm, which Darcy Moore had, the left arm free, you have to do something. You have to try to throw it into your boot. He was just standing there with the ball hanging in his hand. Try to throw it on your boot, Darcy. I know you were being taken to ground. I know it wasn't easy, but all you had to do was try, and the umpire would have called play on. It was a free kick.
Regardless of that, and regardless of what Sam Darcy did to us, I still think Darcy Moore was really good. As was Jeremy Howe, and I'm sure we'll talk about him in our vote.
Jeremy Howe was very good.
But I don't know. I just think there were so many occasions throughout the night where Nick, Josh, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, they were just like these quick little handballs that get one or the other into space, and just like, I don't know. I just think our running game's back. We're looking as good as what we did in 2023. I saw there was so many good signs. That there was one from one end of the ground to the other within 10 seconds that McStay should have just kicked the goal, running 15 and directly in front. Tried to pass it. I don't know if he was half passing it, half going for it. He just was in two minds.
No, I think he was fully passing it, but just stuffed it
up. The other one when Cox got on the end of it, was it Bobby Hill that kicked it to Cox, and he sort of socketed off the ground? And He missed that one. It was
that was McStay as well, wasn't it?
McStay? I don't think that one was McStay. I can't remember who missed that one, but it was another simple miss. From those two could have been the plays of the season, because that Cox one where Cox kicked it in, that was when Pendlebury handballed it over his head, went to Josh, went to Nick, kicked it to McStay, and then McStay kicked it into.
Okay,
I don't know. I'm getting confused, but there was two really good bits of play that we fucked up.
We don't know. We don't know stuff.
Two really good bits of play that we completely fucked up.
Yeah.
But overall, the signs were good. The signs were really, really good. We were a key defender down. That's the other thing. We were a key defender down with a forward line with Darcy and Norton. So
fair point.
We were great. It was gutsy as hell. To say any other team in the competition would have beaten us, I think is incorrect. I think if we were coming up against almost any other team in the competition, we would have won. Because we didn't have the key defenders to stop Darcy and Norton, and yet we did. We still won.
Isn't that position, that Bermuda Triangle of positions at Collingwood, that mid-sized defender? Just got Langdon, Scharenberg, I've just written their names down now. Murphy, of course.
Murphy,
who else have we got? And now Reef. Who else? Over the last 10 years, that third tall who could take talls, take smalls, it's just been a graveyard for a position. Did
you say Langdon?
Yeah, Langdon, Scharenberg, Murphy, now Reef.
It's a good point.
It's just
it sounds like Reef has done his ACL. It hasn't been confirmed. If I was Collingwood, I would offer him a contract tomorrow. Just a 1-year contract. He's going through hell right now. He's done enough in the preseason to secure that spot in our back six. You got to reward that. You got to take a bit of pressure off. He's going through hell right now. Just give him the contract, so at least he knows. I've got time is on my side. Let's get myself right for next year. I'd be disappointed if we didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I think it would be a little bit similar in the Murphy case, where they gave him the extra year that they knew he wasn't going to play in.
Well,
Just for the environment around the club to build a good environment.
yeah.
You know.
Well, we'll talk about replacements because I was going to have this bring this up a little bit later, but we'll talk about it now before we get back into the game. So, okay, so when I was thinking about this last night after game, who long term is going to replace Reece McGuinness? The two names just came to mind straight away. It was Billy Frampton and it was Charlie Dean. That does not fill me with any confidence. That is,
No.
although I don't want to say that it's a good thing Reece is injured because he isn't. It's certainly a horrible thing, but we definitely have that spot in the mid-season draft now, so we need to target that key defender. But that isn't for another half a season, pretty much.
But with Charlie Dean, I hold out a little bit of hope in that hasn't this been his first full pre-season since he's been to the club? Because he's had injuries.
Possibly,
he had that broken toe, didn't he? I think this is his first.
Yeah,
full,
but
so he's got.
He didn't look good in the preseason.
Yeah.
He didn't look good. But all right, so I thought about what can we do, and I don't think you're going to like this idea, but just hear me out.
Well, don't, Brett. It's best not to upset.
No, I think this is
Okay,
this is a good idea.
Let's just move on.
So, what happened last night was Reef went down in the opening 2 minutes of the game. Harry Perryman started on the bench. He was 100% with Long going into the sub role. He was 100% going to be back in his inside midfield role. But then all of a sudden, Reef going down changed everything. Ned Long came on, so we're like, okay, Ned Long has to play midfield. Perryman, you're now going back. For me, I looked at the back seven of last night. Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, Braden Maynard, Harry Perryman, Dan Houston, Isaac Quainer, and Josh Dacos. The first six of those guys, so all six other than Josh, can play taller than what they are. They can all intercept. They're all gun players. I know we got Perryman over on 800 a year to be an inside mid, and it might seem like a bit of a waste putting him into the back line and playing more of a defensive role because he doesn't need to play the attacking role. You got Houston and Josh and all that to do that. It might seem like a bit of a waste, but the best thing about Perryman is he is so flexible. We can put him anywhere. And right now, I think we need him in that position. I'm happy to go in with Moore and Howe, and Moore and Howe as our two key defenders. Maynard is our third tall. Perryman playing a little bit taller, probably taking more the Maynard role in the smalls. Houston, Quainer, playing the smalls that can intercept as well. It's more of a structured team defense. We just need to. I don't think it's going to be good to have Frampton and Dean in there long term. I think we're better off having 7 really solid players than one of those guys. And I was looking at the teams that are going to challenge this year. How many of them have 2 gun key forwards? You got the Bulldogs from last night, and we beat them without a key defender other than Moore. And you've got Carlton if they are a contender.
But isn't it more about freeing Moore and
we don't have that luxury
and Howe up?
We don't have that luxury.
Well, we do, and I touched on this last week or the week before. My check just got.
Nah.
Well, yes, okay, right. So you've prattled on for 2 minutes in great detail,
and I'm still not finished.
I hardly get out the word my check is.
We're not splitting up the triple M's, mate.
It's not. That'll enable us to leave Cox in the side.
I don't want Cox in the side and
be the second ruck where we get a big advantage.
No. I'm so against that.
Oh, my check goes down for beautiful.
Sorry, I can't cop that.
But I prefaced it last week by saying this won't happen. No. And I know it won't happen, but maybe that just hasn't dawned on. Yeah, well, I don't know.
I reckon those 7 that were in our defense last night, long term, that's now our defense. And Perryman now going into that back 6 or back 7 now means that we can play a Ned Long or an Ed Allen or a Tom Mitchell when they are fit, because we could probably play 2 of them now. Because Long's been sub a couple of times. He's played 1 full game and looked amazing. Ed Allen's been in and out. Tom Mitchell, we've been debating lately whether he comes back in when he's fit. Well, now we've got more room for someone like that with a Perryman going into the back 7. Next year, I'd like to see Perryman unleashed into the midfield and us target another key defender. But for the time being, that's the way I see it. And like I was saying, you got the Bulldogs, you got Carlton, and the other team was Adelaide with the key forwards, Phil Port, Walker, Darcy Fogarty. When we play those 3 clubs, and funnily enough, we play Carlton in our next game in a couple of weeks, I would probably bring in Frampton for those teams. Any other team in the company, like you've been talking about the small forward lines for a while now.
And aren't Hawthorn doing well with the one?
Hawthorn was my point.
Yeah.
So do we need a Frampton or a Dean against the Hawks? No, I don't think we do. Like, so I reckon,
But by the same token, do we need the triple M's?
yes.
Okay.
Well, they're good.
Yeah.
They're very. I know McStay had an awful game last night, but
And
and
Membry didn't do
Membry was
much.
quiet, but
He was quiet.
the
Like we had a lot of. I don't want to. It's a bit hard to call people passengers because they do a lot of. I understand there's a
who's
lot.
the passenger?
No. We had a lot of guys who seemingly didn't contribute, but I know there's such a. It's not that simple. They could sacrifice their game for the good of the side, do a lot of pressure acts. I realise that, but we had a lot of guys who weren't prominent on the night.
Is this okay? So last night's game.
Yeah,
All right.
last night.
Oh, name them. Name them.
Oh well.
Go on,
I'll
don't.
have to go back to my.
Well, you can't just say that and then not name them.
Well, I'm going to name them.
Yeah.
I've got them written down here.
Go on.
I just need to go back. Okay. Now, again, it's they could be sacrificing their game for the good of the team. But people I didn't see much of last night, Perryman, McCreary, who I want to expand on in a minute, Membry, Quaynor, and Houston.
Houston's a passenger.
No,
Big call.
No, I didn't. But I'm not. I said I'm not calling them passengers.
Yes, I know.
I made the point. I'm not calling these guys passengers because they would have done a lot of work off the ball. I understand somebody like Membry was. McRae talked about Membry as running his guts out, and he probably did.
And Perryman played a very defensive role,
Yeah.
so he didn't get a lot of it. But
McCreary, and we discussed him last night. To me, McCreary, is this his third year?
fourth, I think.
Fourth year. He's the same player he was in his first year.
Yeah.
I haven't seen how his game has got better, and he's not really smart. Remember that centre clearance? He would have been in the third term, running through the centre into centre half forward, launched the ball. He put it a metre out from goal. That's the worst kick you can do inside 50 is to land it a metre out from goal. It's just too easy for the defenders.
Both of us had that in our notes as well.
Bang.
We didn't even speak about it.
If you can't kick the goal, put it 10, 15 metres
Exactly.
out, top of the square. That's schoolboy
You put it in
stuff.
no man's land.
Yeah, that's you put it where the opposition wants you to put
Yeah.
it. That's schoolboy stuff. His game just hasn't evolved.
I'm McCreary's biggest fan. Like people who've been watching us right throughout the preseason would know that, but I'm getting fed up as well. You can't. He has about 3 or 4 nearly moments every game that get you really excited, and then he stuffs it up, and then he does one really good thing, and you're like, yes, that's what we want to see, and we hold on to that.
Yeah,
But
'cause
at what point is it going to click, and he's going to show a bit of consistency and pull off those great things multiple times a game?
Yeah, well, to me, he's no longer a lock in the side.
No, he's not a lock. He's there at the moment.
I think you said
I'm not dropping him yet. No way. But
I think you said a lot of people, including yourself, give Lipinski a hard time.
yeah, I did say that last
well,
time.
expand on that.
Well, I mean, I'm guilty of this. I like Pat Lipinski, I do, but whenever we have a bad loss, he's for me the easy target. I'm like, look at Lipinski, he had 10 disposals, but then again, that's not fair because he plays an outside game. If we're not playing well, chances are he's not really going to be playing well. He's the cream on the cake. He's the guy that his better games will be in those wins, but he's a hell of a lot more consistent. What McCreary is, he's constantly getting 20 disposals a game, running up and down that wing or starting as a high half forward, setting up a couple of goals, kicking one himself. He does that a lot, Lipinski. And yeah, the odd game where he doesn't play well, me and a lot of other supporters out there are quick to cut him down. Yeah, we're also bloody supportive of McCreary and his 12 touches a game and a goal every couple of weeks. And I think it's just because he's more exciting than what Lipinski is, isn't he? Like I said, all those nearly moments. Like, come on, yes, look at Bo run, look at him run, look at him go, and then he stuffed it up. But at least he looked good, didn't he?
I'm more excited than Lipinski.
He's not an exciting player, but he's an important player. And I'm done. Next time Pat Lipinski plays an ordinary game, I'm not even going to bring it up. I'm just going to let it slide, maybe. But that post has fallen down.
Yeah, I'll put it back up.
There we go.
Well, text not what it used to be. Yeah, look, side bottom. Can I just
Well, yeah, I have Penderbury,
Okay.
side bottom, and Howell in the same. No, you start.
Okay. Well, it's not so much side bottom, it's more Gary Lyon. Did you watch the Fox broadcast?
Yeah, of course.
In the aftermatch?
Yeah.
He kept on going on and on about that incident where Howe kicked it into the centre in the last quarter,
And flinched.
allegedly flinched.
Oh, you don't think he did?
Well, he could have gone back harder. I don't think it was a hanging offence. I don't think. But Gary Lyon must have brought it up 5 times, but on the back of, oh no, not being critical of
No, he
Sidebottom.
was saying that he responded
He
after that.
responded. He kept on going on a fair bit about it.
Well, I
Which,
agree with Gary Lyon. He did respond.
well, he did respond, but I don't think he needed to spend the next hour talking about how he flinched. Did he flinch? Maybe he did. Was it the worst flinching I've ever seen? Far from it. And the
Schultz,
and the Schultz one directly afterwards, I don't even think happened. I think he just misread the judge of the ball and got under the ball and couldn't take the mark.
Possibly.
Commentators.
I haven't seen the Schultz one replayed as much as the Sidebottom one.
I
So I can't comment
think
on
he
that.
I think he just misjudged the flight of the ball in the air, Schultz. I think he was hard done by. But anyway,
But how
he
good
was good.
was Sidebottom and Pendlebury, and how these? Well, I'm just talking about the older blokes at the moment. These older guys in their mid to late 30s, they're still doing it. Sidebottom, I can't believe I was talking about this guy being the sub in the preseason, the specialist sub. No. This guy is still elite. He's still elite. He's a star. Pendlebury's still a star.
Yeah.
Howe's still a star. The thing I want to mention about Howe before, when I was talking about the restructure of this defense going a little bit smaller, I reckon Howe's 2 best games in the last 18 months. This game, when Reece McGuinness went down injured and he had to take more responsibility, and Grand Final Day 2023, when Murphy went down, he had to take more responsibility, which is maybe another reason why we can go in with this structure. But he was outstanding. And then the two guys in their record-breaking game, 308 games together, Pendlebury and Sidebottom, two of our very, very best on the night. What did you think of their games?
Pendlebury and Sidebottom.
Yeah.
Oh well, we're going straight to the drawing room.
No, not yet. We're just
They're in my votes. I thought I sent a text out to you, and it might have been a friend of mine saying, how good's Pendlebury? He's just after one of his little over the back straight to Dacos, and he did that 4 or 5 times. Just his use of the ball was fantastic. Ability to find space, fantastic. Yeah. I always wondered how he finds his space. And to give a shout out,
basketball background.
What's that?
Basketball background.
Oh, the basketball background.
In case our listeners didn't know, he has a basketball background.
But I got to say, the guy, to give them a shout out, I was listening to the rant the other day, and they said what they believe is he holds the ball out, kind of feigning that he's about to dispose of it by a handball, and the oncoming traffic think, okay, well, he's about to get rid of it. I'll keep our structure. I won't get sucked into it, and only to, of course, fake it. But I thought, yeah, that's right. I've always wondered how he does it. And it is a bit of the feigning of the disposal, or leading the opposition to believe he's about to dispose of it when he doesn't. So, he was fantastic. Sidebottom was, great. How, as you say, stood up. Yeah, I was wrapped with their games.
We're not going away this year. Like we're now 2-1. If you said at the start of the year, at our bye, after coming against the Giants, Port Adelaide and the Bulldogs, which isn't an easy run, would be 2-1, you would take that, wouldn't you?
I'd take that, especially, like I said,
After that Giants game.
Yeah, after the Giants game.
Yeah.
And I don't think we played that well last night. And I think, as I said, most sides, I think, would have beaten us. So it's good to get out with the 4 points.
Well, the thing that fills me with most confidence that we're not going to go away is you expect if we were going to drop off, it would be those guys, the older guys that would be dropping off. But they're still at an elite level. So then you put in the Dacoses and Houston and all these guys in the prime of their career and a few of the younger guys that are going to get better. They're not going to be the ones that drop off. So we're in a really good position. I think we're definitely in the mix for top 4. We've responded since that Giants game. There was worrying signs there. We just put it down to opening round, and it shouldn't be a thing. And now we're going to buy because of opening round. It finally feels like footy's back. I'm pumped. And now we don't get to watch our team play next week. No one should be having a buy in round 3. That's crap.
Yeah, it's a bit premature.
All because of opening round. But yeah.
Did you see McRae's press conference after the game?
I actually haven't watched it yet. I probably should have. But...
It annoyed me a little bit.
Okay.
I see they asked him about the Cox Rory lob incident.
Oh, yes, I was going to bring that up. What did he say?
Yeah, to me he went too hard at Rory lob.
No, good. No,
what
did he say?
Oh, basically he was saying, well, he said a couple of times, well, the guy just punched him in the face, didn't he? words to that effect. Look, I don't want to misquote him, but to me, it was like he was trying to hang Lob out to dry. I don't think Lob's effort was a swinging, like, a deliberate hit. It was far from a deliberate hit. He was attempting to spoil the ball, or you could argue he was attempting to spoil the ball. So it wasn't that blatant. I don't think he should have been hung out to dry like that by an opposition coach. Like, it wasn't a Barry Hall on a Staker moment, was it? It wasn't nothing like that. The ball was right there. He's tried to hit it, and to me, it looks like he's just missed.
I kind of get what you're saying, because I know when Goodwin did the same thing after the Maynard thing with Brayshaw, I was outraged. I was like, what are you doing?
It reminded me very much of that, and that pissed me off.
But the difference is
that he's a Collingwood coach.
No, the difference is Lob has blue hair, so he should get suspended just for that. Well, we should be able to say whatever we want about Rory Lobb because of that.
Well, if I was on a kill list, I'd try to disguise myself as well and go into hiding.
The guy's a moron. So that's why I'm a little bit more forgiving to Fly. He's a fucking moron. Let's make the night all about me. Look, everyone, I got blue hair.
He has turned his career around.
Oh yeah, very very good player now.
Like, for a guy who's been around 10, 12 years, I think last year was his first really good year.
And other
than that, he just pulled the wool over 3 clubs' eyes to pay him big money on potential. But last year, very good year. Last night, very good.
It's very rare that one of Bevo's positional changes actually works. So, I think they say a broken clock is right twice a day. So good on you, Bevo. Good on you, mate. But no, I wonder, does Cox have concussion?
I don't believe so.
Let's talk a little bit about Cox while we're on that subject. Because...
And the cut on the cheek apparently may have been because of his glasses, so it wasn't so much the hit.
Okay,
but anyway.
So you're talking about my check going back. All right, let's go back to that. I'll give you a chance to explain.
I explained it last week, so they can just
my check.
I
think it was a few weeks ago. But explain, because I don't think no one's going to agree with this, especially because Cox wasn't amazing last night. It's quite frustrating.
People are comfortable with you talking on their behalf.
All right, explain.
Well, okay, rightio. So we have been a key position short in the back line for a while now. I think we can all acknowledge that. But we've been trying to plug holes by bringing in mid-season draft players and moving the magnets around. It hasn't quite worked. It's worked to a certain degree. But we've got a guy there who came to the club from Port Melbourne as a key backman. So he knows his way around the back line. And now we're in a position where we've got a few riches in the forward line. Okay. So we can afford not to have him up there. In previous years, I get the argument, gee, he's our key position, our only key position forward. Our leading goal kicker most years, you can't afford to take him out of there and put him down back. Well, things have changed now. We're still struggling down back, yet now we've got McStay, we've got Membry down the forward line, we've got Cox who's available. Somebody like, I remember I spoke to you or George, and one of you said, "Oh, he's not tall enough for a key back." Yeah,
no, that wasn't me.
Yeah, but he's got the weight. So guys like a Sam Darcy, and he's got the experience. He can move these guys under the ball. The guy must weigh 100 kilos. My check, if not very close to it. He's a big bloke.
How are we meant to know that?
Yeah, exactly. But he's a big bloke, so he can use his experience to edge these bigger guys or taller guys underneath the ball. I think he'd be a rock down there for us, which would then allow Howe and Moore to play their natural game.
But Moore and Howe were playing their natural games last night, despite that.
Yeah, twisted, but yeah.
What's the saying? You're not going to rob Peter to pay Paul. Like, this is going to.
That's it. So we would have been robbing Peter to pay Paul last year, and I said I understood that. But this year we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul because we've still got Peter and Paul up in the forward line.
Our big point of difference this year is we've got the triple M's. We've never had that luxury, and man, when they're on, like we saw last week against Port Adelaide, when they're all on, we're nearly impossible to beat.
We can have double MC up there. Membry,
I think I saw enough from Cox last night. Look, he's not best 22.
If we're gonna be exposed this year, I think we may be exposed through the lack of tall backs. I think
But
that's where he might be exposed.
against who? So I'll give you Carlton, Adelaide, and Bulldogs. And for those games, you can plug a Billy Frampton in there
No,
just for those games. But every other team in the comp, the Hawthorn teams and even GWS that only really have Hogan and those kinds of teams,
yeah,
is it going to hurt us?
But it's not just the, as I said before, it's not just the opposition. It's the fact that it will allow Darcy Moore to become the Darcy. Darcy Moore isn't naturally a defensive defender. Okay, his bag, his bag is intercept marking, running out of the back line. He's an attacking defender. It will free him up just being down there. I get what you're saying. There's not a lot of teams have got all the keepers.
But do we need that as much now that we've got a Houston and a Josh Dacos and they're playing that attacking style off halfback?
I just think it will be an improvement.
I strongly disagree. I'm now 100% in the camp that the back seven we had last night with Perryman going into it, we stick with that unless we're playing a Carlton, an Adelaide or a Bulldogs, and we're playing Carlton in a couple of weeks where Billy Frampton comes in just for that game. That's how I want to set up. I reckon, because then it also allows us to play Ned Long or Ed Allen or Tom Mitchell. Well, we want as many good players in this team as we possibly can. I feel like we're going to be just as weak with a Billy Frampton. I know you're not saying bring Billy Frampton in yet, but we'll say I don't want. Well, Cox is now the equivalent of what Billy Frampton is as a forward. He's just not. He's just not quite good enough. And I love Mason Cox, and I love everything he's done for us, but he's just not good enough. It's a massive downgrade
as a forward, but he gives us that extra little bit as a ruck.
We don't need that. McStay's been really good in the ruck in the first few weeks, I reckon.
But anyway, it's a moot point. So because they're not going to send my check back, it's just not going to happen. I acknowledge that. But
all right, there's a few more players I want to talk about. So. Do you want to talk about how good Nick Dacos is? We normally open with that.
Well, we're kind of giving big spoilers to our Julian Road medal count.
That's all right. We're just talking about the game, Nick.
Well, he was very good.
It's a spoiler. We might have Nick Dacos in our votes. We don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, look, he was excellent, great. Concerns me a little bit. I don't want us to become the side that has to rely on him getting mid-30 possessions to win, though. I know he got 30. I know he got even more than that.
Yeah.
He was excellent.
So last week he was good, but not great. Like he had the 26, and we won that by 91 points. So I think we've got enough.
I think it was also a reflection on the opposition last week.
Yeah,
they were terrible.
Fair.
You saw some of the vision during the week that the footy shows brought out of Port Adelaide players literally walking behind Collingwood players who streamed away, literally walking.
How do you do that in a round one game?
That's I don't know. They're never going to catch the Collingwood players. But what happens is they put inferred pressure on the kicker. If you do put a bit of an effort in, it was just. If you're a Port supporter, you would have been horrified to see their vision.
Let's give this guy a bit of time. Lockie Schultz. What a game. What a game from Lockie Schultz.
Yes, excellent game.
Talk about, I was talking about Pat Lipinski and how I give him shit. I've been as hard as anyone has been on Lockie Schultz, but he was outstanding last night. His pressure, his attack on the ball, he was clean. He wasn't fumbling for once. He was selling candy multiple times. He was selling candy. He was awesome. This was the Lockie Schultz we saw at Freo. He's played okay games, but even in his okay games, as I always say, he makes everything look hard. Like last week, he played pretty well, but he still only had the 75 meters game. So it's always hard work with Lockie Schultz. But last night it was a complete opposite. He was outstanding. 100% his best game for the club. 100%.
Well, he played a week before too. Don't
that's what I just said. But this one was just a much better game still. He was one of the best on the ground in my opinion.
Well, I knew it was always going to come because I knew he was a good player. So being a good player, he was eventually going to get back to it. And I think he comes across as a very confidence player. So if he's confident, he plays well, but he suffers from a lack of confidence sometimes. But somebody who can learn a little bit about his intensity and pressure is Bobby Hill.
Okay.
Bobby Hill. I looked at his stats. I think 3 tackles. I don't see him doing it for a guy who's very fast. I don't see him applying the pressure on the opposition defenders coming out of the back, out of our forward line. He chipped in for a couple of goals last night, but
Still quiet.
Yeah, still quiet.
Oh, are we using him too deep? Can we get him up the ground a little bit, maybe? Because I understand last year we had
Well,
basically no forwards and he had to play deep.
Yeah.
Why can't he be the man
Yeah.
kicking it inside 50 now?
Yeah, well, we've been calling that for that for a while. I'd like to see them utilise his pace further up the ground.
It's easy to go cold when you're in a forward pocket.
Maybe in the McCreary role.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, and then McCreary finds maybe he has a couple of weeks break in the twos. McCreary.
Not yet, but yeah, I think it's coming.
Yeah.
The last thing we'll touch on before we get to the votes, Jack Crisp. Is there anything to worry about?
Well, I know what you're talking about. The tackle.
Is the streak over?
The tackle. Well,
And by the time that this is out, people might actually know the answer to that.
Well, who knows? The answer will be who knows, because there's no consistency. It's well documented. You don't need me to go through it. It's just guesswork who's going to be called up and who's not going to be called up. Most of the commentators seem to think it was all right on Foxtel at least.
But you just don't know
They
these
said they
days.
nursed him down. But yeah, he could possibly go. I don't think he should. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. But then again, I didn't think that Jackson Archer should have gone either.
Oh, Jackson Archer, wasn't that the most ridiculous suspension you've ever seen?
Yeah.
It was. He was just running. He was
And-
suspended
look,
for.
forget about the actual incident, but the system that says that you're either not guilty and get no weeks, or you're guilty and get 3 weeks. So even if he was guilty, that's not a 3-week suspension. That's a week suspension. He wasn't targeting an opposition player. He was just going hard at the ball. So if you say, look, and he owed the opposition player a duty of care, fair enough. But is that a 3-week punishment? No, it's a 1-week punishment. So the system that says you either get off or you get 3 weeks in this case, it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Like the system's broken.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's get into the Julian Rowe medal.
Been pretty good, Julian Rowe. He's been better than pretty good. He's been a forward that has presented for them today.
All right. So I have given 49 votes. So I've given 2 votes to Ned Long again. Didn't get anywhere near as much of the ball last night. Still, he had the 13 disposals, so that's not great. But he had a game-high 9 tackles and an equal game-high 28 pressure acts. Now, we didn't really touch on him, but I think it was ridiculous that he was the sub after his breakout performance the week before. And this goes into what we were talking about last week. Like, what are we doing with these young players? Like, we've got a 22-year-old kid that's just broken out, and we've now put him as a sub the very next week. I'm not happy that Reef went down, obviously, but I was glad to see him pretty much get a full game in the end Ned Long. And yeah, despite not getting a lot of the ball, it's those tackles, it's those pressure acts, it's those tap-ons. Like, there was a lot of times where he wasn't credited for disposal, but he was able to sort of like tap it in the direction of Nick Dacos and those types of ways. We've got a midfield full of superstars. The Goey, the Dacoses, Pendlebury, we know the names, side bottom. We don't really have that role player in the midfield that makes those guys better. And he is that guy.
Perryman?
Well, Perryman, I reckon now will be a defender.
Yeah, just a bit more.
I reckon it's Ned Long time. And for that game high 28 pressure acts and a game high 9 tackles and making the players around him better, I had to give him 2 votes.
Well, does he, just skipping ahead to the Carlton game, do we go with the tried and true that's worked in the past, Pendlebury, or do we go to Ned Long?
On Cripps.
On Cripps, yeah.
So if you asked me a week ago, I would have said it's definitely Perryman after the job he did on Horn Francis. Actually, it probably still is Perryman. So I'm talking about Perryman becoming that 7th defender. But I said in certain games I'll play Billy Frampton. Carlton's one of those games. So I'll probably play Billy Frampton against the Blues, which means maybe Perryman goes into the midfield and I'll probably put him on Cripps. If he was able to do the job on Horn Francis, he'll be able to match it with Cripps, I reckon.
Cripps is a better player.
Oh, better play, but like similar sort of.
He's bigger. He's bigger.
He is
than
bigger.
Francis.
Yeah. But I think Horn Francis is more explosive these days than Cripps. So anyway, 3 votes to Darcy Moore. Yeah, he gave up the 4 goals. If you say he gave them up, these days it's such a team defense that it wasn't technically him, but he still had the 15 disposals, 10 contested possessions, 5 marks, and a game high 12 intercept possessions. It's been a long time since Darcy Moore had anything over 10 when it comes to intercept possession. So he was really good last night. And any other key defender in the competition, and I reckon Sam Darcy would have kicked 5 or 6. He was that good, Darcy Moore.
He did miss a couple.
He did, yeah, he did. In fairness,
He could have kicked 5 or 6.
He could have, but 6 votes to Josh Dacos, 25 disposals at 84% efficiency, 438 meters gained, and 5 score involvements. The eye test said he was very good as well, Mick.
Not my eyes.
He was outstanding, Josh Dacos, and it's a good sign. So he was quiet last week, and Houston was really good. This week, Houston was quiet, and Josh was really good. So I think it's going to be hard. I'm not sure if this is opposition teams put in work into them, like maybe they put a bit of work into Josh last week, now they put in a bit of work into Houston, and the other one's able to get off the chain. But it's good news. I doubt that you're going to see a situation where they both have a quiet game. So we've got 2 absolutely elite halfbacks now. So Josh Dacos, the 6 votes. I've then given 7 votes to 3 players. Still Sidebottom for 22 disposals, 6 clearances, 6 score involvements, and 2 goals, including the match winner. Absolute clutch performance from Steele. Jeremy Howe, the 17 disposals, an equal team high, 7 marks, 7 intercept possessions, and 432 metres gained. And Lockie Schultz is the other guy I've given 7 votes to. 17 disposals at 82% efficiency. Lockie Schultz, what a star. 6 marks, 7 tackles, 6 score involvements, and 2 goals. Played his role perfectly. I've then given 8 votes to Pendles. He had the 26 disposals at 85% efficiency. He had an equal game high 11 score involvements. So he's just absolute class. He's 37 years of age, and he's not slowing down. He's going to play on next year. Steele's already come out and said that he reckons that we should keep him on for another year.
What else is he going to say?
No,
he's a hack. He should be.
He said we should keep
pick somebody up in the preseason.
Hear the wording. We should keep him on. It's so he's not saying that. Oh, we'll see. We'll see how Pendles is feeling. It sounds like to me Pendles wants to go on.
Yeah, but of course you're going to get that from a teammate.
No, but you think that he would say, "Oh, it's really up to the Pendles." See if he wants to play. But the wording made it sound like the Pendles really wants to. So I think he's going to break Boomer's record. And the 9 votes to Nick Dacos. Listen to this: game high 39 disposals, team high 14 contested possessions, equal team high 7 marks. Team high, 544 metres gained. Equal game high, 9 clearances. Team high, 8 inside 50s. And an equal game high, 11 score involvements. He's basically in the top of every single category in stats. He is just an absolute champion. He's the best player in the game. He'll be the best player in the history of the game by the end of his career. And he's going to win his first of 5 Brownlow medals this year. So...
Again, I don't think he's the best player in his family, but keep on going.
So what you think Josh is better? That's a crazy take. My votes: Nick 9, Pendles 8, Lockie Schultz 7, Howe 7, Sidebottom 7, Josh Dacos 6, Moore 3, and Ned Long 2. Mick.
Nick Dacos 9, Schultz 7, Pendlebury 7. I hope he doesn't beat Boomer's record. Moore.
Hold on. Why don't you want him to beat Boomer's record?
Because I was a big fan of Boomer, and I think he was very hard done by Chris Scott. Brad Scott. He had another year in him. He probably could have top 450 possibly. He had another year to go, and he was treated shabbily.
So you're not a Pendlebury fan. You're a Boomer fan, but not a Pendlebury fan.
I'm a huge Pendlebury fan, of course. And
you go for Collingwood.
I do. I go for Collingwood, but I just think Boomer Harvey was really treated poorly at North and shown the door. It was, and in retrospect, it was very bad for North as well.
Things happen like that all the time.
So I reckon he could have hit 450. So it'd be good to see him keep the record.
Things happen like that all the time. Players get injured. Players get dropped when they don't deserve it. Players get traded when they don't deserve it. Players get delisted when they don't deserve it. That's football. He's not the only player that's.
I'm still entitled to an opinion.
So you don't want to say Pendlebury?
I would rather Boomer. I think Boomer Harvey's more worthy of the record than Pendlebury. And I'm a huge Pendlebury fan. And it's not a reflection on Pendlebury. This isn't a reflection on Pendlebury. This is a reflection on how poorly Harvey was treated at North.
And every single one of our viewers has now turned off.
I think every football supporter would have been fascinated to see a guy achieve 450. And Boomer Harvey could have sailed past 450. So I just think it was a bit
Maybe
disappointing.
Pendlebury. If Pendlebury smashes the record, then
Yeah.
will you still feel that way?
Oh, if he smashes the record, good luck to him. Yes, no, but if he just gets over the line, I just think. Anyway, that's what I think.
Anyway, keep going with your votes.
Okay, so I'll start again because
Yeah.
you interrupted.
Sorry.
So Nick Dacos 9, Schultz 7, Pendlebury 7, Moore 7, Sidebottom 7, Cameron and Howe 6.
Cameron?
Cameron 6. I thought he was good. He battled hard in the ruck, kind of broke.
He lost the hit-outs to Tim English, who's not a very good tap ruckman.
but not by grade. They were pretty.
But he should have smashed him in that category.
49, the same as you.
Well, that's interesting. And quite similar when I had Nick 9, you got
So
Schultz.
you basically had Josh Dacos and I had Cameron in.
Well, yeah, Josh Dacos had a far better game than Cameron.
Yeah, not according to my votes, he didn't.
We're making good time today, Mick.
What are we travelling at?
Well, I don't know yet, but I'm just. It feels like we're going sort of quick. You don't have I got vomit today, do you?
No, I don't.
You're in a happy mood.
Oh no, I've always got things to complain about, but given that we're trying to reel back on time a bit, I'm willing to sacrifice it.
Don't worry about that. Like if you've got something you want to get off your chest, you can still get it off your chest. But no, I'm not saying to do it. But in future episodes. So
maybe future episodes. I got one thing that's been rattling around in the back of my mind.
All right, give us an unofficial I got vomit. An unofficial.
Well, light pollution. No, seriously. I touched on it a few weeks
I shouldn't
ago.
have asked.
Are we obsessed with light? Why do we want to banish the darkness? I would like to be able to go out and appreciate the night sky and see it in all its glory. But in my 57 years, I haven't seen it in anywhere close to all its glory because we're just obsessed with lighting everything up at night. There's enough light during the day. Let the night be the night. Okay.
All right.
Off the top of my head, that's all. I could expand on it, but I think that's fair and reasonable that we just let the night exist as the night, because there's a lot of nocturnal animals out there who operate under the guise of darkness that it affects them. Other animals like to have a bit of a snooze at night. It affects them.
Shouldn't have asked. Anyway, it's time for Who Am I? All right. Who am I? You know you're still on zero, man.
Hold on, I'm thinking if I got anything to complain about last week. No, last week I did it, yes.
Yes, you did it. Yeah.
Nothing to complain about there.
I'm sure you have a lot to complain about. All right, I'm going to start off. This one might be a little bit difficult.
Oh, for crying out loud. I was more than reasonable last week and you couldn't get it.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
And I gave you a little bit of time to think. So what you do is not only don't you give me time, but you yak as I'm thinking.
It's a podcast, Michael.
No, just shut up. Let me think.
It might be fine for our YouTube viewers, but the people listening to us on Spotify and Apple, they don't just want to sit there and listen to silence.
This is the thing I was talking about with my I Got Vomit section. People can't tolerate the night. They also can't tolerate silence. It's like freaking when you're up in Brisbane trying to watch the footy and they have to put on some rock and roll music between every goal.
Yeah, I don't like the music after goals.
Sit there in silence. Just watch me think.
For a guy that said he had nothing to complain about, you've complained a lot in the last 5 minutes.
So go ahead.
All right. For 5 points, I was drafted to Collingwood with pick 61 in the 2007 National Draft from the Geelong Falcons as a midfielder.
As a midfielder. 2007. Now, of course, Maxwell came from down that way, but not as a midfielder, I wouldn't have thought. And it was maybe a bit earlier. I think he was a bit earlier than 2000. And he came as a rookie, I think. He came in the rookie draft, Maxwell. I can't.
All right, we're moving on.
Oh, that is very...
It's for 5 votes, 5 points.
It was like 17 seconds. Come on.
It's meant to be difficult at the start, for 4 points. God, you really struggle under the pressure, don't you? For 4 points, I had a rocky start to my AFL career, cracking a shoulder socket in my first practice match, and later getting my tonsils removed. I wouldn't record a senior game in my debut season.
Oh, I remember somebody getting their tonsils removed. That guy, 4 points. You beauty. Good.
Do you want me to keep on going?
4 points. So what have you? What's your?
Yes, sir.
I just don't know. I can't think of his name. Now, hold on.
Well,
Tonsils removed. Geelong Falcons. Uh,
you're right. You might be onto it here. You might be onto your first votes. First, all right, you ready?
right, what are you up to? 3 points.
Three points. I made my debut in round 4, 2008, against the Lions at the Gabba. I would earn a Rising Star nomination after successfully tagging Luke Power, as well as collecting 28 disposals and a game high 9 tackles.
Jackson Barham.
Yes!
You beauty.
You got Jackson Barham.
Well, Jackson Barham comes from Waterboy as his dad did, so I knew he was down the Geelong Falcons way. And I knew, yeah, he did get his tonsils removed. Yeah, I knew that was his first game. I think he had 28 possessions in his first game.
28 possessions, yeah, and the game high 9 tackles.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
I expected, so I won't read the 2 points, but the 1 point I was expecting, if you're waiting till then, I was drafted to Collingwood as a father-son selection, wearing the same number as my father and playing a similar type of style to him. That I was expecting if you waited till then, you're going to get it. I gave you no chance to get it with the first.
The third one, that's huge. And then, of course, he went surfing. He was a big surfing fan. And Mick Malthouse saying, well, the guy just likes surfing more than he did footy. So that's what he went and did.
Wow. He ended up signing for Geelong's VFL team after he's delisted by us in 2010. So no, fuck. Now you're ahead of me.
Yeah,
Three. You've had one more than what I have, but so I need to get the next one to at least draw level with you.
Yeah, so that's 3 officially, or 5 if you take into account. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, there you go. Great.
Wow. So
monkeys off the back.
Wow, you actually got one. I wasn't expecting it to be this week either.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks with the podcast. So, next week, we obviously have the bye. We're not playing. It's a disgrace. We all know that. But I'm not sure if I want to guarantee this, but I'm going to put it out there as a possibility. I've been in contact with Fox Footy's own David King, and we may be putting out a podcast with him this week about the early start to Collingwood season. Very, very nice bloke, Kingy. Was chatting to him a few weeks ago. I messaged him about an hour before we hit record today to see if he was still available. So if that's the case, then we might have earlier episodes during the week. I don't have anything prepared for him at the moment. Do you?
Nothing,
but
No.
but so hopefully he gets back to us soon. If we don't, I'm saying if he's ready.
Well, I think he's going to be doing most of the talking. We're just going to say, what do you reckon?
Here it says he's seen my message and he hasn't responded.
Oh, right. It's a bit of a worry.
might scrap that. Maybe we can edit this part out. Yeah, if that doesn't happen, which I'm now not as confident as what I was about 10 seconds ago. If that doesn't happen, we'll still do a regular pod. I don't know what we'll talk about. Maybe if that doesn't happen, if we don't do the David King one, we can find time to do the AFL mock draft. We did the Collingwood mock draft.
Yep.
That had a fair bit of support, and a few people out there were keen for us to do the overall AFL one. If you haven't listened, go back 3, 4, 5 episodes ago. Michael and I did our mock draft of Collingwood players in the AFL era since 1990. It's a good listen. And yeah, if we don't get David King on, or even if we do, I don't know, maybe we can bring out a double episode because people will be wanting more football without the bloody game on. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. So that's the sort of stuff that could potentially be happening next week. And that will be our last podcast together in the same room for 6 or 7 weeks.
Yes. So then we'll see how we go with the old technological things.
Doing my big trip around Australia and New Zealand.
Nobody wants to hear about.
I'm very excited. I'm going to be at the next 6 Collingwood games, so that's exciting. Last time I get to sit down in the comfort of my own couch and watch the game. So it's going to be It's gonna be a big 6 weeks. I'm happy we've gone into it with a couple of wins. Otherwise, it'll be a bit deflating.
Well, the Carlton game, I'm already getting a bit nervy for the Carlton game. I really, like any Collingwood supporter, you really don't want to lose to Carlton of all
Do we
sides.
want them to win next week? Because if they go 0-3, they're going to be desperate to beat us. Well, they're going to be desperate either way. But
Yeah, exactly.
who did that? They got the Bulldogs next Friday night.
Yeah, that's a 50-50. Well, judging on how Bulldogs played, and Carlton weren't really bad against Hawthorn, I have to say. They were reasonable.
Oh, they were pretty bad in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought they were competitive. Yeah, but really don't want to. So we have to take care of Cripps because if they're going to beat us, he's going to play well. Let's face it, he's the guy. They rely more on him than we do on Dacos.
I just realised that I'm pretty sure don't Fox Footy have they have all the Saturday games, and David King's the main part of that, isn't he? He's like him, Kath Lachlan, and someone else are in the studio for all the Saturday games. So he's literally doing that right now as we speak. So he's probably
you trying to do? He's trying,
well,
I'm
saying I think he's literally on TV as we speak. So he's probably busy. Hopefully he doesn't now forget. Maybe I should have picked what would have been a quieter time for him to check the message because now I don't want to double message either, do I?
No, it's a bit awkward. But anyway,
all right. There you go. Are we going to wrap this up? Have you got any final words?
I've got no final words.
All right. So don't forget to subscribe to our channels on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you want to follow our socials, you can find us on X @IntoTheWoodsPod and on Instagram @IntoTheWoodsPod10. Thanks for listening. We look forward to doing it again next week. See ya.